all of that stuff there is all dross and smoke, and I want you to be successful. And this process here is you writing a contract with yourself.
Yeah.
It's got to be done with a pen. This is from my own experience. When you got under 12 people, everything's really easy. Everyone works at their optimum level. When a department goes over 12, that's when you've got to work on culture, because you get, just when the one comes along that toxics the environment. The same way if you get 10 kids together, everyone's like, then when it gets 13 kids, or I don't know what happens, but a group of people, you always get like the divide. Half want to do that, half want to do this. So we've always found that it's like that rule of 12. So when that starts, and that could happen to you within 12 months, couldn't it? Because you could leverage your warehouse team, and they all might work really hard because they feel like they're really close to Jack. There's only 3 of them. Jack's built this. They'll find you inspirational, and then that goes from inspirational into, right, as he moves further away, he becomes the boss.
Yeah, sure.
Which we have this here now. They see me walking around and not really. So when I first came to Marsh Farm, we had a big problem with that here. We was bringing my existing team, and I took over an existing team, and there was a disaster in culture. But you're going to do it through just organic growth. You're going to go from 4 to 12, and you'll start seeing that. And I don't want you to be sucked into that, because what happens in businesses, in all businesses your size, once you go past the 2 million mark, what happens is there is now operational stuff to deal with on a huge and epic scale. And because of that huge operational pull on you, guess what happens? Less sales, which is where your gold dust is. And that is not something that you can easily recruit in. To get someone to say, come in and create me £1 million worth of sales, is hard to find. That is entrepreneurial DNA. That's your DNA. You can't buy that stuff in easily. An administrator, an operations person, an organised person, far easier to find than the person that can magic up sales. So I just plead with you, Jack, keep doing that role that you're doing there. Yeah. The next person is your PA type person that's going to take all those boring tasks that are very important but not urgent.
Sure.
There's really, once you've cracked that, and if you can keep that going. So, because I think loads of business owners think, I shouldn't really get a PA. That sounds like really, look at me, how fancy I am. But you need to be pushing those tasks on so that you can continue with getting sales tasks. The second you become the organiser and the personal assistant, you are the personal assistant. All sounds like battle plan stuff to me. You haven't got a war plan. That's really basically what it all comes down to.
Right, okay.
So most people in life, this is not just in business, most people that go through the education system are battle planners.
Yeah.
Because life throws us battles, and then what we end up doing is just fighting battle after battle, right? New battle, win that battle, new battle. We actually don't know why we're winning or fighting those battles. And you need to come up with this credible war plan so that we have the battles still, but we know the right battles to fight. So, very simply, get yourself a blank piece of paper, and you're going to write on top finish date. Then you're going to write the word profit. Then you're going to write the word revenue. Then you're going to write the word team, like that. So that as you get your blank piece of paper, and you're going to write down, what's the finish date of your business? When's my business going to be finished? When does it look like when it's finished? What does it look like when it's finished? When's it going to be finished? And who is going to buy this business? Because we've got to build a business to sell, even if we have no intention of selling it. Because one day the exit will come, whether it's by death, or you're going to exit the business, or you're going to retire. And what we don't want is you see people around the age of 62, 63 expedite their business success in the last 2 years of business as they get ready to exit. So they start putting everything organised, when really we need to be doing that at the start when we start out, maybe at 35, 40, 45, or younger like we were. And we want to know what it looks like when it's finished. So for us, with Partyman, I know we're building a £15 million business with a £2.5 million EBITDA, and we've got to do that in the next 18 months. Now, if it takes us an extra 12 months to do it, okay, it's taking us an extra 12 months, but it's not going to take us an extra 2 decades to do it, because we've put a credible finish date on it. And when you see people go through education, You see someone that goes through education, they say, I want to be a vet, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer or a barrister. They get through education and be far more successful. The ones that go through and don't really know why they're at university or why they're going to college, they're just doing it to go to, they get bored of it, they get stressed out about it, they don't know why they're doing it. They're fighting battles without a war plan. So you come up with your finish date. What's the date of our war date finish? You're going to say, what's your annual revenue that you want to make this year? Annual profit this year, and what's your finish date profit? So we're going to have year-end profit, finish date profit. Yeah. Then we're going to work out what revenue we need to do to make that profit. So we're not going to start off with turnover. We're going to say, right, if we want to make £1 million profit, what revenue do we need to make? Then to do that, we need to work out what team we need to build to make that happen. Now, this still might take you, you might say, well, I want to do that in a year. And then, the lines don't align for you to have that happen in a year. But it will happen within 36, maybe 48 months, rather than it not happening ever at all, because you've clearly defined what you want to happen. It takes a long time for success to happen. I mean, you think about this, right? The last thing to grow on a tree is the fruit. Yeah. Yeah, so you've got to think about, how long but that tree knows what it's doing from the start. You don't know what you're doing. No offense, you don't know what you're doing. So if you just do that simple task when you get home tonight, blank piece of paper, then I would suggest you go and invest £5 or £6 and buy a photo frame and put it next to your bed. Yeah. Or on your desk, so that every time you make a stupid decision and it's another battle plan decision, you go, right, is this battle plan helping my war plan, or am I just doing another battle plan situation? And those 4 things are what I do. It's what all my one-to-one clients, all my group coaching clients now do, and their success jump starts because of that stuff. So finish date, profit, revenue, team, and we want to reverse engineer this. Most people just say, this year I want to turn £1.5 million, £2 million. I mean, because it's easier to say that stuff. It's not so easy to say, well, this is going to be the finish date of my business. But the most successful people that you'll ever meet, like vulture capitalists, private equity, investors, share capital, all of those people, they start with that. If I put my money in, what's it going to be worth in 5 years? And on the date, to the date in 5 years' time. What's going to happen at exit? They think about exit, then they go, right, that's what's going to happen there. What annual profit are we going to make? What revenues is it going to make? And what's the management team that look like that's going to make that happen? There's a big reason why Facebook go and buy things like WhatsApp that are not making any money or not turning any money and pay billions and millions for it, is because of the team and the infrastructure, that the IP that's built around the business before it's actually making money. So one of the biggest things, the most valuable things in a business is its team. When you think about solicitors that are buying into a partnership, or accountants buying into a partnership, you're just buying into an IP. You're buying into, a team, an idea that's built up a brand. And if you're just, no one wants to buy a job at exit. All of that stuff there is all dross and smoke, and I want you to be successful. And this process here is you writing a contract with yourself. Yeah. It's got to be done with a pen and a piece of paper, and the reason I'm telling you to put it in a photo frame, not on an iPad, so you've got to not on a computer, and you're writing it out, and you're going to say, this is the finish day, and it's working in your brain, that's the profit I'm going to make this year. So when all those things come along, the sticky sauce thing that you just went off on, and the pension firm and all that stuff that you just went on with, you can go, right, this is going to help my revenues, but is it going to help my profits? Can I leverage my team, or am I just giving more stuff that's not going to work to the whole team? Am I just using time up which isn't valuable? Am I just creating work unnecessarily? What it all comes back down to, though, is knowing your number and actually what you want. So back again to this, what profit do you want now, this year? What profit do you want when the business is finished? What revenues do you need to do to make that? And what team do you need? Because again, you are battle planning in your thinking. Because if you say to me, well, I'm happy with £250,000 a year or £100,000 a year profit, if those numbers, then all of a sudden the problem isn't so big, because you might be talking like your Citibank here or bloody Coots or Barclays, you know, like how big do you want your business to be? If you say, well, I actually only want my business to be this, to give me this lifestyle, all of a sudden the problems become much smaller, and you might only need 2 or 3 people that are really good, that you can really look after and nurture. The way you're talking, but then you might say, well, no, actually, James, no, I do want 20, 30 people. I do want a £10 million profit. I don't know. But once you've wrote that down, that's why I put team at the end, because it might not be as big a problem as you're thinking in your head. In fact, you might only need one person. You might actually only need a fantastic PA that's really good, that gets to know you inside and out and gets to know your clients inside and out, that will take all that stress away from you, so that you're just doing the getting customers bit, rather than looking after customers and getting customers, looking after the original customers to get them to do more with you. So it just becomes client relations. You don't know. Yeah. And until you know, like everything I'm telling you could just be going in one ear and out the other, and actually you don't know. So it goes back to, try and think of yourself not as a business owner. Think about most people that go to university, they don't know why they're going. Yeah. But then the person that's there saying, I'm going to be a doctor, know the process they're going through. Look how much more successful they are as a class of people, in terms of, I've been through the education system and I've done well. But the person that goes, I'm going for a photography degree, you just think, you don't know what you want to do, because they're never photographers at the end of it, And once you do that process and you know like what you're building a house without a set of architect plans, which most business owners do. Yeah. So I'm just saying to yourself, go and do the drawing, do the architect plan. Yeah. Because what you're doing is saying, right, I'm going to build a 4-bedroom house, and you sort of get to room 3 and you're going, do you know what, I might have a triple garage as well, actually. I'll just leave the rooms, I'll just go and do the triple garage. I like that swooping driveway, and just before you get to the end of the swoop, I just want an in and out driveway, actually, that would be better for me. And then you're having a moment of grandeur. I'm going to put a fountain in the middle. Just before you finish that fountain, you go, that triple garage, I'd like a quad garage, actually. I'd like 4, and that's what you're doing. Actually, I might go back to the bedroom now, because actually we need to finish the bedrooms, because people have got somewhere to live. We need a laundry room. No, it'd be all right, put it in the kitchen. That is what most business owners do. That's why when you meet people that come into the end of school that say, I want to be a policeman, you just know that they're going to do it in their own way. They've reached the top levels of success for them, because they've said, I want to do this, and now I am this. But the problem with entrepreneurship, the problem of being a business owner, is you are given so many options almost daily, whether to go right, left, backwards, forwards. You think about some of the greats like Steve Jobs went back to Apple and just got rid of all of their product ranges and just went down to 3 simple products. And since he's died, you've seen Apple are doing more and more stuff, and then Samsung have taken a bit more of their market share, and you just think, did that man have it right by keeping everyone focused on a few linear details? We're just going to do the iMac, the iPod, and the other thing, I can't remember what the other, but then he just introduced the iPhone, and just kept it to simple, and then had a separate team for each division to keep it really on point. And I think there's some lessons there for us as business owners. But, once you work out this stuff, it comes clear to you. And then every time you have one of these moments of, I need to build a team. Why do you need to build a team? The answer is probably yes, you need to build a team. You don't know why you need to build a team. And why? That's why I love regulated businesses like our day nurseries. That's why, in many ways, I love Marsh Farm but hate Marsh Farm, because we're afforded so many options. This year we're doing this event, that event, this event, that event. You run a day nursery, it's Ofsted regulated. Ofsted say, this is how you run it, and if you don't, we're going to close you down. Fantastic. You're a dentist. This is how you run the dentist. If you don't, whoever their body is will close you down. And guess what? Banks want to lend to regulated businesses easier than any other business. HSBC, I went to a conference for franchises, and HSBC said lending to McDonald's was a safer bet than bricks and mortar. So if you wanted to start a start-up McDonald's franchise, they said that was safer than lending to bricks and mortar. And I totally get it. And you're all around it going, yeah, I understand that. But if you really think about that, that is lending £2.5 million to start a McDonald's franchise, which in effect is selling burgers and chips. When you really break it down, that is what it is, which any one of us could start a business this year selling burgers and chips, and you wouldn't pay £2.5 million for an operations manager to say, here you go, and you can use our name, you know. But it's because it's it's like McDonald's have turned that into a regulated system. 50,000 people in the UK apply for a McDonald's franchise every single year. 8 people get chosen. So it's, you know, it's serious stuff, but they've turned it into a regulated business. You can't, you know, go into, like, you buy a McDonald's franchise and you get an idea. You can't then go in tomorrow and say, I think I'll put fillet steak on the menu. Our customers will really like that. You're just not going to be able to do that. But also, here's the thing, when you take on a McDonald's franchise, you'll be presented something like this. They'll say to you, Riz, at the end of year 1, your profit will look like this. At the end of year 5, your profit will look like this. Your revenues will be this, and this is the team that you're going to need to do this. When you want to sell your franchise, we will sell it for you and find you a buyer. And you'll be like, well, this all makes complete and utter logical sense to me. Where do I sign my £2.5 million? And then they'll say, oh, and also that £2.5 million to buy into our franchise, we will introduce you to a suite of banks that will lend you the money to do it because we've trained you to do it. That's why banks will lend doctors, barristers, lawyers, vets money much easier than they will any other business, because they're regulated and they've had the proper training, and they know that a doctor's not just going to, you know, be a GP one day and go, yeah, I might become a photographer now, because that hardly ever happens. I'm sure someone's going to now bloody put on a video, well, I know someone that's done it, but on the, you know, as a rule of thumb, yeah. This is game changing. It's so simple, so simple to do. Finished date profit, revenue team, boom. In my opinion, business owners, senior people, they think much more long term. They'll say stuff like, in 10 years, this is what we'll look like. In 5 years, this is what we'll look like. And the carrot is a long way away, but it's a big carrot and they're prepared to wait for it. Most people don't live like that. Think about saying that to a child. If you're really good, in 10 years' time, I'll buy you a toy. You know, like, it's not going to happen. It's like, if you do this, by the end of the day, you'll get this, or by the end of the week, you'll get this, or long term, by the end of the month, you'll get this. You know, annualised bonus is just because what everyone else is doing. I think short, you know, this is going to happen in a week if you achieve this. It's so much easier to motivate higher, you know, lots and lots of little and regular rather than just the one-off. It's too far away. I mean, most people live hand to mouth. Most people in this country, in the United Kingdom, have £150 disposable income a month. You know, after they've paid their Sky bill, their mortgage, their, you know, all the things that they see as essential. So, you know, I'm saying after the car finance, fuel in the car and all of that stuff, after everything's gone, they're £150 a month after what they see as their essential things. So my business, Marsh Farm, is competing for £150 of leisure money, free money to go out for dinner and all of that stuff.